Peoples of the worldwide federated internet. What's good? It would appear as though some of you actually like my opinion on various issues. Actually, pretty surprising to me, mainly because I'm a rambler. I ramble about many things. Watching the news, watching the different conversations go on, I have two competing thoughts in my head. And sometimes I don't know how exactly to convey and get across these two competing thoughts. And here's my two competing thoughts. My two competing thoughts is I want to help people. I want to have compassion. And I want people to receive the things that they need. And I want people to be able to live a comfortable life. And I think it is. I'm trying to figure out how to word this because I don't want my idea to be missed and I don't want this to come across the wrong way. I think it is our responsibility to take care of those around us. Here's the duality of thought I have, and here's the two competing and warring thoughts. I believe that 100%. I do not, however, believe the government is the answer, nor do I believe the government should be the answer. You see, what most don't understand is nothing is free as far as earthly things are concerned. These things are not free. You're not going to get anything free of charge. Somebody's going to pay the price somewhere. The problem inherently with making the government the answer or trying to make the government the answer is you come up against a real huge problem. And that real huge problem that you come up against is you have to take from someone else in order to give to these people who don't have. Now, you might hear that and you might think to yourself, you just contradicted yourself. I didn't. What I'm saying is, I do believe as a society, we should help those in need. I do not believe, however, the government should bear that responsibility for helping those in need. And when I say those in need, I'm talking about people who are homeless, destitute, people who need, shelter, food, clothing. I think if we make this a community effort, it would be better served. And it's so I say this, and I don't say this because I don't want these people help, but you have to realize what comes along with making the government the arm of this help. This what comes along with that. I always say you can't help someone else to the detriment of yourself, because then you can't help someone else. Let me explain. If I make, let's say I make $1 million, right? Win $1 million. Most people in this day and age, they believe that $1 million is a lot of money. It is a lot of money, and there's much you can do with $1 million. But if I get $1 million and the immediate next thing I do is give a bunch of this money away, let's say to different family members, I just start giving money away. Eventually that money's going to run out. It's unlikely that most people you give money to are going to invest that money in something else. Now, let's say I take that $1,000,000 and I say, you know what? I cannot help these people right now and my family. But what I am going to do, I'm going to sit on this money. I'm going to think about what I can do to make this money make more money. Let's say I invest in a small franchise. Let's say I buy a Burger King. I put up some money, take out a loan, invest in a Burger King. And then I buy 1 or 2 houses, right? Now, you can do that with that $1,000,000. It'll spread you thin, but you can do that. Now I'm renting out 2 houses that are bringing in constant revenue. The Burger King is bringing in constant revenue. Now my revenue stream is much bigger than it once was. Now I can reach out to one of my family members and say, all right, I'm going to send you to this training to manage a franchise, and you're going to run this business. Boom, I set them up. Let's say as that builds up more revenue, I can invest in another franchise. Okay, now I'm going to take some more money. I'm going to take the profit from this company and I'm going to invest in, let's say, Five Guys Burgers and Fries. And now I hire another family member and I say, all right, you're going to run this. I'm going to send you to the same management training. You're going to run this joint. If this joint takes off, I want you to take that revenue and I want you to look into and do some research and look into another franchise we can buy into. You see, what I did was I invested, I helped myself, and then I was able to help those around me. So this is the problem, in my opinion, with using the government as the arm of help. When you do that, there's only one way the government goes about helping people, and that is by raising taxes. I am not against taxes. I am not opposed to taxes. I am opposed to the way we pay taxes because I believe it's unconstitutional. I know I've said that many, many times. If you raise taxes to the point that people can't survive, you're helping others to the detriment of other people. When you look at major cities, look at a city like New York. Look at the taxes in New York. The amount of money, I remember doing this. I'm not a rich person by any stretch of the imagination. I remember running the numbers and doing the calculations of what it would take for me to just maintain my standard of living in New York City. This is when I was in Florida. I had a small 3-bedroom house, 1,000 square foot. It wasn't big. 1-car garage on, a decent sized lot, nothing ridiculous. In order for me to maintain that standard of living, nothing crazy, I would have to make at least 300 to be comfortable. Now, I'm not talking about living beyond my means. I'm talking about to have that and be comfortable. I would need to make at least 300,000 a year in New York. I bought that house when I was in the military. I believe I was still E2 or E3, as a matter of fact, when I bought that house. I was not making much money. When I bought that house, I want to say I was making barely 28,000 a year, something like that. And we lived comfortable. I was married at the time, 3 kids. My wife didn't work. We weren't rich. And we didn't have wads of cash to go do whatever, but we were comfortable. And when I got out the military, my career progressed. Promotions, more money over time. Nothing crazy. Wasn't making any crazy money. Not even 6 figures. And I was able to provide for a family. Me, my wife at the time wasn't working. And 4 kids. And I was holding it down and we were living good. Every job I got made a little bit more money and we were living good. So what has effectively been done in cities like New York, you have taxed people so heavily that most people have to make an exorbitant amount in order to live comfortable. I'm not saying have crazy things. I'm not talking about Gucci belts and Lexuses. I'm just saying living normally comfortable. A house, maybe a family with a house, 1 or 2 cars, nothing crazy. You have taxed people out of the ability to take care of themselves with the goal of quote unquote taking care of somebody else. And that's what I mean by that. You have not helped. You've taken from one person to give to these programs and different things that is supposed to help the poor, which growing up in Brooklyn, I can tell you right now, all of the money that you hardworking people in New York City are paying in taxes is not really helping anyone. Now, you have public transportation. I'm gonna show you something. Where I lived in Florida, there was no public transportation. You had to have a car. If you wanted to get around, things were spread out. But the thing was, even on a normal income, nothing crazy, a normal income, you can afford a place to live and a car. In New York City, I'm not going to say you can't afford a car, but it's more financially beneficial to you to ride the train or the bus and live in an apartment versus living in a house and owning a house and having a car. So you're in a situation where you're more dependent on the city government than you are on yourself. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. And that's why I say there's a duality going on in my mind. I want to help people, but I don't believe making the government that arm to help people is the answer, right? Because the more now, I understand we live in a fallen world, and I also understand that you're not going to have large swaths of people that want to help. I'm just keeping it real. But overtaxing someone with the guides in mind of helping the poor, all you're doing is you are creating a situation where the standard of living for everyone is dropped dramatically. Now, with that being said, I understand we live in a country where even the lowest standard of living is pretty good. Be honest with you, it's pretty good. The point being is that leaving it to the people, the individuals to help, to me, is the best way to go. Can you imagine? Now, people are selfish, and I understand that. So take what I'm saying and understand that I don't have this utopian view of the world. I'm not naive. But can you imagine the things you could do if your taxes were a lot less than what they were? Imagine if there was no income tax, no money pulled off the top of your check. Everything your company paid you hourly, you got outside of paying for health insurance or 401k and all of that stuff, but it all went in your pocket. In most places, you could survive and survive comfortably off about $15 or $16 an hour if that were the case. Now, I'm not saying that you want to stay there. I understand people have different goals in life and you want to make more. I get that. People want to make more money and there's nothing wrong with that. But the point being is you could do a lot more with a lot less. So using the government as the arm to help people is really not helping people, but it's driving more people into a mediocre life. And when I say that, understand, I am not saying that we have to have glitz and glamour and all these other things. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the idea is we're going to raise your taxes so we can help others. And in raising your taxes, we're going to make it harder for you to live on the income that you're making. That is not the way to help. And this is why I do not believe the government should be our arm to help people. In my opinion, the government should protect our borders, should work and deal in foreign policy and foreign relations, should work to protect the rights of the people. But the government is, I've said this before, the government is like an ogre. It's not nimble, it doesn't move quick, and thus it is very ineffective when it comes to helping the individual. The government is very equipped for dealing with the affairs of the nation as a whole, but the government is very, very ill-equipped and not very effective in helping down to the individual level. That is something that should be done and should be handled by the community voluntarily. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, and I'm not saying that my thoughts are the most complete, concise, and correct thoughts on this issue, but I do believe that I'm correct in my line of thinking here. The government is not equipped to help the individual. And if the idea is I'm going to levy a heavy tax burden on everyone else to help these people, what you're effectively doing is you are driving people into poverty to help people who are in poverty, and that doesn't make sense. Just my small thoughts on this issue. Y'all know what it is. Stay frosty, people.